Howdy and welcome to the 5 Pause Types Trainer. My name is Miles. Let's get into it. In this exercise, we're going to use Juan D'Arienzo's 1936 version of Nada Más with Alberto Ichague singing. So, there are two things that I want you to do. First, sit down, get comfortable. And the second is I just want you to use your ears. You're not going to try and analyze the song. You're not trying to find the beat here. The only thing that I want you to do is to get familiar with this piece of music. This is an important listening skill. So you don't want to tap. You don't want to move. You don't want to try to find structure here. You just want to let your mind relax and just try to, quote, enjoy, unquote, the music. Yes, that trying to enjoy the music is listening to the music, and that's all I want you to do. I don't want you to try to analyze what you're hearing. Just listen. Use your ears. Yes? All right. So let's play Juan D'Arienzo's Nada Más. All right, that is Juan D'Arienzo's Nada Más. Let's get into the 5 pause types and what you are listening for. Let's start with type 1. A type 1 is known as a stop or cessation. What do I mean by that? It's pretty simple. There's a lack of music going on, i.e. a stop. So I will play you the example, and it happens almost instantaneously right after the first couple of notes of Nada Más. Listen carefully. That was easy, huh? A stop. Sometimes a stop can be very tiny and sometimes it can be very long. This one is sort of in the middle, and it sort of veers closer to the longer side than it does to the shorter side, so we call it a stop. So now let's talk about a type 2 pause. A type 2 pause is known as an instrumental flourish, sometimes represented as a violin flourish, a piano flourish, or a bandoneon flourish. This is sometimes also represented as an instrumental trill. In all 4 of those cases, it's still a flourish. So what does it sound like? Let's find out. Make sense? This is an instrumental flourish. Usually, in this particular case, it is a piano flourish. One more time so you hear it clearly. Make sense? All right. Now a type 3 pause. What's a type 3 pause? A type 3 pause is sometimes referred to as an orchestral pause. In this particular instance, it is a diminished note. What's an orchestral pause? There are 22 different types of orchestras, and each one of those orchestras, as I've discovered, has their own distinctive type of pause that they use, whether or not they're aware of it or not, but they do have a sort of a distinctive sound, and that distinctive sound comes across, in this particular instance, because it's Juan D'Arienzo, as a diminished note. So a type 3 pause is indicative of the 8 other types of pauses that are not necessarily represented in a piece of music, but they are represented across the different types of orchestras. And I've identified 8 of those, and in this particular instance, it's known as a diminished note. Now, to be fair, there are other orchestras that use a diminished note. So let's dive into here what that actually sounds like. A diminished note, when you're going along, and you hear the music kind of sort of die out, and then it pops right back up. That's a diminished note. So listen carefully. Yes, you heard it, that little tiny dip. That little tiny dip is an orchestral pause, or in this case, a diminished note. So let's talk about a type 4 pause. What's a type 4 pause? A type 4 pause is best represented as a paragraph marker, but it is also a pause in and of its own right. So a paragraph marker is a marker that says, there's an idea that's just come to completion here, and now we're starting another idea. What am I talking about? So in a moment, you're going to hear this very specific idea, and you've been hearing it all along, but then you'll hear this very sharp shift into another musical idea. These are two musical paragraphs, yes? And the thing that delineates them, is the paragraph marker itself. So I'm going to play the paragraph marker first, and then I'm going to play the two musical paragraphs, one right after the other. Yes? All right. So here's the musical paragraph marker itself. Bum, bum. So the musical paragraph marker is something you're very familiar with, and that's the shave and a haircut, bum, bum. Every time that you hear a bum, bum in a piece of music, guess what? That's the end of a musical paragraph and the start of the next one. Yes? So what you're seeing on the screen here is, did you hear the change in the music? So listen carefully. Let's go back to this idea. So you've heard a very specific idea up at this point. Still the same idea, still the same idea, still the same idea. Bump, bump. And it's like, what? What happened? That's because there's two musical ideas there, or more importantly, the end of one musical paragraph and the start of the next. And the start of that in-between point, that marker point, is what's known as a type 4 pause or a musical paragraph. Yes? And that's the bum bum. A type 5 pause. What's a type 5 pause? A type 5 pause is what's known as the singer's breath, which means every single time that the singer takes a breath, that's a pause. It's also reinforcing a pause that already exists in the music. Yes? All right. So let's hear what this sounds like. And all you have to do really to pay attention to it is, if the singer is not singing, guess what? He's taking a breath in order to sing the next lyrics. Yes? When he does that, that's a pause.
Cuánta nieve habrá en mi vida sin el fuego de tus ojos, y mi alma ya perdida sangrando por la herida te dejará morir, y en la cruz de mis anhelos llenaré de brumas mi alma. Morirá el azul del cielo sobre mi desvelo, viéndote partir.
Make sense? That is a type 5 pause. All right, so during the second to last pause, I had this quizzical look on my face because while I was taking a breath, it wasn't a pause. And you should have seen that message on the screen, not a type 5 pause. So let's hear it. Let's listen to it one more time. And it happens very quickly. And you're thinking, okay. Yes, that should be a pause, but it's not. And there's a reason why. And here's why. Listen to what happens not as he's singing, but what's happening under him. One more time. Yes. So that little break right there, because there's a rhythm that's happening under it, you're going, oh, okay. And you hear that rhythm come very clearly over the pause. So it's not, we don't recognize this as a pause. It's what's referred to as a false pause. And you will hear this in all parts of tango music, not just when the singer is singing. Let's review quickly.
Cuánta nieve habrá en mi vida sin el fuego de tus ojos, y mi alma ya perdida sangrando por la herida se dejará morir. Y en la cruz de mis anhelos llenaré de brumas mi alma, morirá el azul del cielo sobre mi desvelo viéndote partir.
Okay, so why was I holding up a 1 right here? Why was I holding up a 1 right here?
Cuánta nieve habrá en mi vida sin el fuego de tus ojos.
So those could be construed as stops. However, what I should have done is this.
Vida sin el fuego de tus ojos.
This is an advanced concept that I like to talk about. This is what's known as a type 5/2 pause. What that means is that you're going to hear an instrumental flourish under the singer's breath. So this is a type 5/2 pause, yes? And you'll also hear the next one, which is a type 1. So this is a 5/1 pause. 5/1. 5/1.
Llenaré de brumas mi alma.
5/1.
Morirá el azul del cielo sobre mi desvelo viéndote partir.
5/2. Yes? All right. That concludes our example for today. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!